My name is Allison Sanders, student ID number 3266053, and this is my Week 6 AVMA task video for VTHT 2223 Clinical Pathology 1. So today we're going to show how to get blood off a cephalic vein. What you're going to need is your needle, the tubes to put the blood in, as well as some alcohol. What you want to do is go ahead and put alcohol over. You're also going to have someone help pull off the vein. And then you're going to find the vein, use your thumb to help stabilize it. Go ahead. Hold off. And you're going to go ahead and put in the purple top. Invert it a few times, and then go ahead and put it in the serum. And then you're going to want to make sure you recap the needle, label the tubes, and then that's how you draw blood off a cephalic vein. So we're going to go over how to do a blood smear, and what that tests for is the differential white blood cell count, and you can also estimate platelet numbers as well as looking at the size and shape of certain white blood cells, red blood cells, and platelets. So what you're going to need is 2 slides, both of them with the frosted end up. I'm using a hematocrit tube, and I'm going to take my purple top, and I'm actually going to get blood from the cap. Go ahead and stick that there, and I'll soak up some blood. And then with that, I'm going to dab it on the frosted end of one of my sides. With the other side, you're going to go at it at a 30-degree angle. Get the blood on the width, and then pull back. You're going to want to do that in a fast and steady motion to make sure that you have a feathered edge at one side of the slide and then more of a thick edge at the side that you started with. You're going to want to kind of wave it in the air and let it air dry, as well as you're going to stick it up to air dry as well. You want the feathered edge to be up, so we're going to come back once that's all dry. So now that it's all dry, we're going to go ahead and stain it, but first we're going to make sure we label it, just to make sure we don't get any sides confused. So I drew blood from Zena, so I'm going to go ahead and write her name. Once you have that done, we're going to go over to our stains. I have a 3-step quick formula, one of them being a fixative, one of them being a solution that stains basic components of the blood, and then one of them being a solution that stains acidic components of the blood. You're going to want to make sure you let it sit in each of the stains for 30 seconds. So we're going to go ahead, put it in there, and have a timer. So we're going to start 30 seconds. When you're staining them, you don't have to pull it in and out of the water. You can just let it sit in there, and that's perfectly fine. When you're done staining all 3 of them, you're going to want to wash it in distilled water, and then make sure you let it dry before you put it under the microscope to look at it. So I'm going to reset this timer, put it in the second solution, and then I'll come back once I've done all of them and washed it in distilled water. So once we're finished staining it, I washed it in distilled water and let it dry. So now we're here to look under the microscope. So we're just going to go ahead and put it on. You're going to start with the lower magnification, and you're going to want to look at the feathered edge first. For the feathered edge, you're going to want to look to see if there's any large abnormal cells, any microfilariae, or any platelet clumps. So we're going to go to the small one, which each section that you look through, you're going to go over in an over, down, over, up motion. That way you make sure you get all of the cells, all of the side covered. Don't see anything abnormal there, so you're going to go to the next one, go ahead and focus it, and do the same thing. And then go to the higher one. this, with the higher magnification, you're going to want to look at the feathered edge as well as the monolayer, which is a section right before the feathered edge. With this, the feathered edge has cells that are distorted, and the monolayer has cells that aren't distorted. So you're going to want to go ahead and note any differences or anything that you find there. And then lastly, when you do the oil immersion, that's for your differential cell count. With that, you're going to do it in the monolayer, and you're going to go ahead and put your oil there. And for this, you're going to want to look to see if you see any basophil, heterophils, eosinophils, or neutrophils, as well as any lymphocyte cells or monocyte cells. And you're going to be doing the same over, down, over, up. Make sure you cover every area of the side. Anything abnormal that you find, you're going to want to tell the doctor. But so far with this patient, I'm not seeing anything abnormal. So it looks like a pretty normal blood smear. Again, wanting to make sure you cover every area of the side so you don't miss anything. But everything looks pretty normal, so that's how you do a blood smear on a patient. Okay, so next we're going to go over how to do a packed cell volume, or a PCV, and what that is the percentage of whole blood that's composed of erythrocytes or red blood cells. So what you're going to need is your hematocrit tubes, and you're going to do 2 of them, that way you can balance them in the centrifuge, and it'll be all balanced. So what you're going to do is take your needle and your blood. You're going to want to fill the hematocrit tube 3/4 of the way full. So just stick the needle. And then you're going to dip it in the clay twice. And then go ahead and set that down. And then you're going to do the same thing with the other tube. Again, dip it in the clay twice. And then you're going to go ahead and put them in the centrifuge. When you do this, you want the clay to be facing outwards. And you want them to be equal and opposite. And then for our centrifuge machine, you're going to spin it for 5 minutes, and you're going to do it on high. So I'm going to go ahead and change it over to high. Spin it on 5 minutes, and then we'll come back once they're all spun down. So now that our samples are done spinning, you can go ahead and take them out of the centrifuge. So with PCV testing, the red blood cells have a higher specific gravity, so they tend to gravitate towards the bottom, and they are the dark red color. The buffy coat is the layer just above the red blood cells, and they contain white blood cells and platelets. And then the plasma is the fluid portion above this, which should normally be a pale to light yellow color. The reason why this one has a little bit more red tinge to it is because the blood was hemolyzed. So the buffy coat, the height of it can be a good indicator of the amount of white blood cell total count, and then the color and transparency of the plasma can be a good indicator on if the patient is suffering from any diseases or conditions or anything like that. So what you want to do is go ahead. You're going to line the clay up with the bottom at 0, and then you're going to line the top of the plasma up like that. And then you're going to read where the plasma and the buffy coat. So this would be about 45, 46. And then we'll go ahead and do the same thing with our other sample. Line the bottom of the clay with 0 and the top that up. Again, this would be about 45. So I would say the PCV for this patient would be about 45. So next we're going to do is a total solids test, and this is used to determine certain plasma proteins, including like albumin, globulin, and fibrinogen. So when you do the test, if the patient has a low total solids, that can mean that the patient is suffering from malnutrition or anything like that. If they end up having a higher total solids, that can mean that they're dehydrated or anything like that. The same goes with the PCV testing. If they have a low PCV, the patient could have anemia or anything like that. And if they had a high percentage of PCV, that could be they're suffering from dehydration or things like that. So when you do this, you're going to take your hematocrit tube and you're going to break it right in the buffy coat plasma interface. Go ahead and break that. What you're going to do is then dab the plasma onto the refractometer prism. Get a good sample. Go ahead and close it. You're then gonna hold it up to a light, and then you're gonna find, so this one is about 7.5. You're gonna look where the dark and light fields meet, and they have their own, the refractometer has its own scale on the inside of it, so you just go ahead and read that. And for this patient, their total solids is 7.5.